Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. And today we are doing a review of the big Amplify restock that is coming. So Alphalete is restocking some of the old colors of Amplify, including evergreen, chocolate, French blue, mocha, titanium, pink, and black. So I have tried some of these colors before. This is the first time that Alphalete has done like a full-on restock, at least I think. Like, don't hold me to that, but they don't often restock things, if not ever. So this collection is launching Saturday, June 11th at 12 PM CST, but this is the start of Alphalete showing that they are going to have more Amplifies in stock. They're going to have more restocks, more colors, more frequently, because they know that, I mean, their other leggings are like popular, but the Amplifies are #1. So I'm super excited for that because I know the Amplifies can be hard to get their hands on. So I'm really excited that they are doing this. This launch, they will be restocking 4.5-inch shorts, leggings, as well as Amplify short sleeve crops. So some of these pieces are new for the colors, but the colors themselves are not new. And also some super exciting news. I have had a support code with Alphalete for a little while now, and it truly helps me out so much when you guys use my code at launches. It helps me keep being able to review these for you guys. But that support code is now turning into a 10% discount code, and Alphalete also said they are not going to be inflating the prices to offset the discount. So you are now getting 10% off everything on the website. So the Amplify 4.5-inch shorts were $52 and they are now $46. $72 Amplify leggings are now around $65. So I'm super excited that they're doing this. My code stays the same. It's still just Kathryn. I hope other brands follow suit because, you know, there's so many support codes, but we love the discounts. Anyways, Alphalete has launched a lot of Amplifies in the past couple months. They've had the Here Comes the Sun collection. They had the Scarlet Pure Blue launch. They had the Formula Red, and now they have these. I haven't done official video reviews of them in a while just because I'm like, half of you guys are like, you know, I don't need to see another Amplify review, so I don't want to like bore you guys with the same Amplifies, even though they change them a little bit every time, which is really confusing. But the other half of you guys are like, hey, where's the Amplify review? And I'm like, did we need one, like a full review? So, you know, I figured it's been a while, let's do a full-on Amplify review, and we are comparing these new Amplifies to all the previous generations, describing any changes. The Amplify fabric composition has not changed from the first Amplify launch. The fabric is a 51% polyamide, 38% polyester, 11% elastane, and that's what it's been every time. But throughout the different collections of Amplify, they tend to feel a little bit different. And I know you guys think I have all the answers, but I do not get any insight at all into how they are changing the leggings and shorts other than inseam length. So if they change the fabric material at all in terms of it being more compressive, thicker, I literally don't get any insight into that. I'm just doing my best to explain how I think that these feel compared to other collections, and people feel differently about how the Amplifies feel. I feel like it's a combination of honestly some inconsistencies in the Amplifies across colors and even within the same color, just how personally people think things feel. Everyone describes leggings a slightly different way, and also it really depends how you fit into the Amplifies based on the size. If I am slightly on the smaller side of a size small and someone else is on a larger side of a size small, but we both wear a small, they might find it more compressive than I find it. So I just always am doing my best to give you guys all the details. So we went into painstaking detail on how I feel like these compare to previous collections in this launch, and I really hope it helps. Honestly, this might be too much information for half you guys. Within every collection, I still find myself reaching for them and wearing them and loving how they feel on me. So they're still Amplifies. A lot of you guys will also ask me to do waistband comparisons based on this launch and previous launches. And people will even send me waistband comparisons from other people or from themselves saying like, oh my gosh, like this waistband from the last launch is like way bigger than this waistband. But I've talked about this on my Instagram story. A big reason why I don't really do waistband comparisons from current launches to previous launches is as soon as you wear a pair of leggings, the waistband stretches out a little bit, especially on the Amplifies where the waistband is so snug and compressive. As soon as I wear this, it stretches out a good inch or even more. So if I'm going to compare an unworn pair of Amplifies with a pair that I've worn, it's not going to be an accurate waistband comparison. So take every waistband comparison you see with a grain of salt. I will always give you guys my sizing recommendations for each collection, and generally I find them true to size. But yeah, that's kind of why I don't really do waistband comparisons much. Even if you wear and you wash the waistband, it's never going to be the same as when you first take it out of the package. Okay, next let's get into the squat tests. Not all leggings I feel like need a double squat test, but with the Alphalete Amplifies, especially in this kind of seamless material, I feel like a squat test with just nude underwear or no underwear doesn't really tell you much about the opacity of these leggings. So I always double squat test my Amplifies with a nude seamless thong and then the infamous banana cheeky underwear. I feel like this pattern really allows it to show through. So let's do the squat test. Anyways, let's start out with the Amplify leggings. So the Amplify leggings are $72. I think we know the drill on what these are at this point, but they're a seamless legging made of a soft, non-itchy seamless material, and it's a little bit on the delicate side of a seamless. So it's not gonna be a super thick seamless like something like the Success leggings on Amazon or like a Gymshark thick seamless. There's a 3-tiered waistband. Each layer gives you a little bit more compression and an embroidered Alphalete logo in the back. And then we have the scrunch side panel detail, and they are a 26-inch inseam. Now let's go over some of the comparisons of Amplifies across generations. And in terms of feel, I feel like we have a couple different Amplify generations. So these are my Bordeaux's. This is from the very first Amplify collection. This is kind of like the OG Amplify material. Then they had a couple launches after that, including the old Mocha that I felt like was very similar to this material. As you can see with the original Amplifies, they're a marled material. They have a little more thickness and compression than the next one. Then we have like the thin, naked feel Amplifies. These are honestly my personal fave, but they tend to be a little less squat proof and just like a little more on the delicate side, so I know some people don't like them for that. But this category of Amplifies would include the Dusty Green and the Charcoal, as well as the Here Comes the Sun collection. These ones are not marled. The material just feels honestly a little bit softer to me and very thin and naked feel. I feel like these are also like the most flattering on the glutes, but they give a little less compression. And then we had the last launch. This was the Pure Blue, the Scarlet, the Storm Gray. And these ones kind of varied in their marl. I feel like there still is a little bit of marl to them. Personally, I would compare these most to the first generation Amplifies, but the fabric feels maybe a little bit denser. And I also felt like these were just a little bit more compressive and I just maybe like a little extra thickness. So I definitely got mixed feelings in the DMs. Some of you guys were like, hey, I prefer the more naked feel of like this collection. Others of you were like, oh, these feel more durable, more compressive. I'm loving the new material. And then we have the Restock that we are talking about today. These I feel like are still a little bit thicker than the OGs. Definitely thicker than this collection, but maybe a teeny bit thinner than this most recent. Might be because of the extra marl, might just be different color variations. But yeah, in order of collections that they are similar to, I would say most recent collection, then the OG, and they're least similar to this collection. So let's do a little scrunch comparison. These are the old Mochas. So this is how the scrunch was from the beginning of Amplifies to like not the most recent launch, but the Here Comes the Sun launch. Ribbed detailing that goes into like 4 little stitches, and they didn't all connect to the gusset. They usually were like a teeny bit away from the gusset. And this launch, as well as the most recent collection, it still is 4 stitches, but they have this slightly little raised section from the scrunch to the gusset. Might be a little more obvious on this one. And the scrunch is just like ever so slightly thicker. I think they just tried to make it a little more durable, but it really is not like very much thicker at all. Personally, I still get the same scrunch effect, and I also feel like these scrunches tend to kind of like stretch over time, so eventually it might end up looking a little bit smaller. But yeah, slight difference with the scrunch that started with the Pure Blue launch. So beyond just the feel of the fabric, I thought the leggings like may be different in weight, so I actually went ahead and weighed a bunch of different collections of Amplifys to kind of see the weight discrepancies. And the collections that I felt like were the most thin, naked feel, like the Dusty Green and the Here Comes the Sun, were both around like 180 grams. So those were definitely the lightest of the collections. And then the other ones all kind of ranged like around 200. Surprisingly, the pink leggings were like the heaviest at 212 grams. But the new collection was most similar in weight to my OG Bordeaux Amplifys from the original launch. I'm not sure that these weights really help, but I think it does show that the more lightweight naked feel Amplifys are like 10 to 15 grams lighter than the more compressive ones. All right, here are the Amplify leggings. These will be coming back in a bunch of colors. This is evergreen. I always get the leggings in a small. I personally don't feel the need to size up, especially since there's no issue with thighs here. So Amplify leggings are 26-inch inseam, but they have so much vertical stretch that I can like pull them down to be a full length on me. So I find that they actually are pretty good for all heights because you can kind of, you know, adjust them to the length that you'd like. They always have this panel detailing down the side in a slightly darker, more textured fabric. The evergreen has a pretty strong marl to it. All of the leggings with a marl I find to be cellulite friendly, especially these dark colors and this fabric, which is slightly thicker than the Dusty Green and the Here Comes the Sun collections. Waistband is pretty compressive, high rise. I would say it's a medium to high compression. I would say in terms of sizing, true to size, size up if in between, especially if you're on like the larger side of the waist measurement for your size. I would definitely choose a size up because it can be pretty compressive on the waist. No front seam. I personally don't get any double camo with these. Sometimes I get a little bit of gathering, but personally it never bothers me on the Amplifys. And then you got the scrunch, super flattering on the glutes. I'm actually liking the material of these. I think it's a teeny bit thinner than the last launch and more similar to the first collection of the Amplifys. And like I said, everyone's going to have slightly different feelings on how these feel compression-wise compared to other Amplify collections, but personally I find these pretty similar to the first Amplifys, maybe a teeny bit more compressive. I also find Amplifys a very lightweight for summer. I don't mind wearing these leggings in hot weather. And I also wore this green color in the Amplify crop today at the gym, and I was sweating pretty good and I didn't notice any sweat. So I feel like the marl colors especially are definitely sweat friendly. Next, we have the Amplify 4.5-inch shorts. I honestly don't think they're any longer than the old 3.5-inch shorts, but they're the new 4.5-inch shorts. Anyways, these are the short shorts. There will be no biker shorts in this collection. These have the same waistband and general construction as the leggings, very similar. They just are a short, and they are on the short side. So for my girlies who tend to get rolling of shorts, these personally still do roll on me. And I got a size small as well as a size medium, just because I felt like with the last collection with the 4.5-inch shorts, I felt like the smalls were a little bit snug on me. So I thought I would test out a medium, see if these were any different, any better. So we will compare these. I also have a side-by-side comparison of the small 3.5-inch shorts, which are the old length, to the small 4.5-inch shorts, which are the new length, so we can kind of see if they feel any longer. And I felt like I got a little bit more length out of the medium shorts, both in the older generation, the 3.5-inch inseam, and the new generation 4.5-inch inseam. So we can kind of see the lengths going on here. A new addition of the shorts and the leggings is they now have tear away labels. So here's the label up close. You can tear it away. I will say I have torn it away, and I feel like cutting it is the better way to go. I just feel like this fabric is so delicate that it just kind of sounds like it's ripping. So you can tear it away. Personally, I wouldn't. In terms of the shorts, these are the new 4.5-inch inseam shorts. They always said that the old shorts were a 3.5-inch inseam. I never understood where they measured this 3.5, but to me, they're kind of the same length as before. So here are the new shorts. This is a size medium, and I'm getting 5 inches from the end of the shorts to the center of the gusset. And these are the old 3.5 inch shorts, which we can see I'm still getting 5 inches. So to me, they're the same length. I don't really feel like they've changed. I've just laid both of the medium shorts on top of each other, and I mean, this is maybe like a couple millimeters difference, if even that. So I really personally don't feel like they're that much longer. When they're on, they maybe feel like a teeny bit longer. I'll try them on side by side. But here are the new small shorts on top of an old pair of small shorts, and they are the same length. All right, so here are the small 4.5 inch new shorts that are restocking, or I guess launching, because it's technically the new length. So I always get a solid high rise in the shorts, medium to high compression in the waistband, and then overall, I'd say I'm getting about a medium compression here. For me, these aren't feeling quite as snug as the most recent like Scarlet Pure Blue launch. So I definitely feel like I have a little more stretch. Definitely getting a little bit of compression in the bottom of the thighs here, but I wouldn't really call it cutting in. So I would still say that these feel thick thigh friendly. Unfortunately, this length of short on me is just always going to find its way to roll up in the gym. So personally, I am not safe with this length of inseam. I need another inch or so for me to make sure that these truly don't roll up, and there are no biker shorts this launch. So when you guys ask if they roll, kind of just depends if a 4-inch short is going to roll on you regularly. And here's the scrunch in the back. I feel like I can situate the scrunch a little better in a size small short than a size medium. I still feel like I'm definitely getting a high on the booty scale. They're very flattering, they hug every curve, and they sit nicely between the glutes. And I feel like over time as I work out, they only get better in the way that they settle. So I feel like they just kind of become a second skin and sit right where they need to be. And I always get just like a couple little gathers here in the size small, but we'll show the size medium next, and you'll see the difference in the amount of fabric collecting. So for the shorts, I think you can size up, but personally I think true to size is maybe just a little bit better for me, just because I don't like to have a lot of gathering. All right, here are the medium shorts in titanium gray. I feel like I just get a little more length out of the medium shorts as opposed to the smalls. And these also definitely were not quite as compressive on my thighs, more of like a medium compression waistband and kind of light to medium compression in the body. And because of this, I actually felt like I got less rolling of the shorts. I did wear these to the gym today. I was doing squats, hip thrusts, everything that usually makes my shorts roll. And just with the medium, I definitely got less rolling. So it's definitely a pro to sizing up. The cons, I just feel like I get more gathering, especially when I kind of move my legs in like this. There definitely is excess fabric here. So that's a con of the larger size. The waistband does not gape in this size. I feel like all of the Amplify waistbands are pretty compressive. So in any size, you probably won't get gaping. I mean, just, you know, don't size up like a million sizes, but you know what I mean. I feel like this kind of feels like the OG Amplify material, not quite as compressive and thick as the last launch. And here is the direct view on the back. I feel like with the medium, I wasn't able to gather it quite as much just because it doesn't have that like snugness keeping it in there, but definitely still flattering, definitely still high on the booty scale. Next, we have the Amplify short sleeve crops. So I actually never knew that they were a slightly different material than the legging, which makes sense because it does feel thinner. So this is actually a 54% polyamide, 41% polyester, 5% elastane. So I'm not sure I've ever tried a Amplify short sleeve crop from them. They have made a lot of long sleeve crops in the past, but I was definitely excited to see a short sleeve for summer because I don't need to be wearing full sleeves right now. So it's just a cropped tee, slightly thinner than before, vinyl logo, not embroidered, little ribbing along the bottom to keep it in place, and just some panel detailing along the back. All right, here's the Amplify short sleeve crop. I did wear this in the evergreen color to work out in today, and I actually really liked it. Definitely compared to the long sleeve tops, I just don't find myself like getting a lot of use out of them. I get very hot very quickly early on in the workout, so I was actually able to wear the short sleeve for a longer period of time. They're definitely very cropped. I did not expose my sports bra at all when I was, you know, working out in this, so it'll still cover your sports bra, but it does not give you much more coverage in the midsection region. So definitely a very cropped crop. It is kind of a thinner version of the Amplify material, so not quite as thick, not quite as compressive. The logo is a vinyl press-on. I think that this fabric is too thin to do the embroidery. I found the head hole on the evergreen one to be pretty snug when I was first getting them on, and on both of them I feel pretty snug in this little arm region. I do have like kind of larger arms for a size small, at least I think. Like, I'm not saying I'm jacked, I just like, you know, carry a little weight in my arms. So I could probably do a medium, but it might not be as snug everywhere else. So I would say true to size. If you're in between though, I would choose the size up. And it wasn't uncomfortable or chafing anywhere during the workout, even though it was snug here. I just can feel that it's a little more snug here than anywhere else on the top. And you just have a couple little panel and raised details on the back. Okay guys, I hope this video was helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if it was. I know that all these slight changes in the Amplifies are confusing. I am also confused. Again, I don't get any information on like how they have changed these things, so I'm just trying to figure it out myself, to be honest. Personally, I really liked how this collection, at least the colors that I got this time, felt on me. I felt like they were all pretty true to size. They still feel like Amplifies to me. I'm still loving how they fit and look and function in the gym for me. Again, don't forget to use code Kathryn for 10% off, which is new. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!